I think there's 4 universal firearm safety rules. How they're worded, they're modified through time, does play a factor. But these are the general, I think, universally accepted rules, but technically they're not universal because not everyone accepts them. And there's always nuances and changes. But wording is important, and as a lot of good folks I know, including like J-Bo Long, he'll say it like this: words have meaning, and it's very true. Okay, so rule number 1, modified from the old Jeff Cooper rules, is please treat every weapon as if it is loaded. And part of that is knowing the condition of your weapon. You should know your condition of your weapon. If you're operating a gun, if it's in your possession, if it's in your hand or within the hand's reach, you should know about it. So please treat it like they're always loaded. So an example of that would be like, no one would ever walk up to a knife on a table and assume, let me see if I can pull out my knife here, and assume that this edge on here was not sharp, right? So you would never pick it up by the blade. You would always assume that this was a sharp, real knife, so you would pick it up by the handle. And so knives are pretty easy because there's only 2 things about them. They're always sharp, and they can't be dulled very well and still not stab or poke you. Handguns are different because there's multiple conditions that could be in: loaded, unloaded, or unknown. And so just adding that 1 or 2 more conditions makes a lot of those accidents happen, those negligent accidents. So that may be a misnomer there. But point being is, know the condition of your weapon, treat it like you're always loaded. Rule number 2 is please don't point the muzzle in. Okay, that's that part right there. All right, the front end of the gun where the bullets come out of, don't point the front end at things you don't want to destroy. Just they say, you know, don't flag people, so that's what they mean. Okay, so the front end of the gun, just be cautious of that. The best thing I can tell you is point it in the safest place that you possibly can in the moment that you're at. The place that's least damaging if a round were to come out of that gun for whatever reason. Okay, so muzzle awareness though is super, super important. The number 1 thing you'll point your gun at is probably going to be yourself. Okay, so just be aware of that, especially handguns. They're easy to point at things. We'll tend to point them at ourselves. Try not to point them at yourself. Rule number 3 is going to be, please keep your finger off the trigger or until you're ready to shoot and your sights are on target. So there's nuances on there. Some people say don't put your finger on the trigger unless it's justified. I think that's a pretty decent one when you go into a more legal section, like for cops and stuff. But generally speaking, yeah, the little part right here, that the curvy part, that is the trigger. That allows the gun to have one thing to do, and that's to shoot. So when your sights are on target, all right, so visually see your sights on a target. If you decide you're going to shoot it, then touch the trigger. And if you're not going to shoot, take your finger off the trigger and then move the gun away from the target. So I equate this as like if you're driving, okay, the first thing you probably do when you sit in the car is not take your foot and smash it on the gas pedal, which would be representing your trigger. You would do a whole bunch of other things first, right? You would have 4 wheels on your car, gas in your tank, like i.e. have bullets in your gun. You would put it in gear. You would decide which way you're going to go first, forward or back. Put your hands on the wheel, then put it in gear, after you crank it up, of course, and then push the appropriate pedal, which would probably be the gas, okay? But the pedal that you're going to push, the trigger, probably the last thing you would ever touch. You can immediately know kind of what experience a person has with firearm safety and firearm training by simply how they pick up a gun. If they pick it up with a poor grip, finger on the trigger, that's such a natural thing to do because our fingers are sympathetic. Ever since we were little babies, you poke the middle of their hand, their fingers curl up and do this. So when we grab stuff or catch stuff or pick up guns, that finger wants to get on or into the trigger well. Well, when I tell people what the trigger guard is, it's really a trigger funnel. Your finger just wants to get on there. So just kind of note that, be cautious of that, and be careful, okay? When you're done shooting, take your finger off the trigger first, then move your sights off the target, and then figure out what you need to do from there. Rule number 4, somewhere on there is be sure of your target, what's beyond that. And I always preface this in my classes with, do bullets and guns discriminate? And the answer, of course, is no. So whose job is it to discriminate where you point your gun? Well, duh, you, because you're responsible for it. So, literally, whatever your gun's currently pointing at, that's the target, whether you want it to be or not. So if it's in your possession, just choose the better thing to make the target, right? So I'm going to add a little to that, and in parentheses I say, because we know that bullets go through different objects, okay? Because ballistically, they're going to penetrate paper, walls, etc. Probably not this wall because it's brick, but that's a different story. Just the other B's. Be careful what's beyond your target, what's beside your target, and what is before your target. Those are the big 3 B's I would say to focus on too. Is because you got to be aware that that bullet, as it goes through that target, could possibly hit something beyond it. But in the real world, whichever one we're in, that sometimes the target's adjacent to that target, beside it, may move in front or behind the same target you were aiming at and about to shoot. Same thing if it's in the foreground. So be careful of that. What is before your target, what's beside your target, and what's beyond your target. Anyways, that's